da-dee-da. What? Okay. This is a video of my level 90, now level 90, Fend slash Plague hybrid Amazon build. Um, and I gotta say, this is a level 90 character, but this is unusual for most of my builds. I made this character as a Javazon a long time ago, and I was using it to run just for Pindle runs, and I dropped that, and then I made a Javazon slash Freezing Arrowzon. I don't know why I made a separate one, but when I make a character, is what I'm saying is I start the character from scratch and level them up, playing the character as the build from level 1, from the get-go. I never do the thing. This is integrity. This is integrity, people. I never, if I'm doing like a paladin, I don't start off as a holy fire paladin and then respec halfway through. I play the build just, from level 1. Okay. So I had this idea, and I was first inspired to make this build by, first of all, my last video where I thought there was no use for headhunters, and I thought of this build as a potential use as a plague Javazon, and I also have always had this, and look at this. This is pretty cool. Way back in the day, this is one of those items that were considered like super good. Demon's Arch, and I mean way back, but it's actually still a pretty powerful, good item. I mean, check it out. Good elemental damage, life stolen, replenish. This is and the ED is pretty darn good, so this is kind of a nice roll. One of those cool things I found, I've actually found 2 or 3. These ones of these. This is the best one. And always want to use it. So at first I ran the build with a storm shield and this. And so I'll talk about the skills. The skills are very simple. Max Fend, max Jab. Fend is your multi-target. Jab your single target. Max Plague, Max Poison, Passive Magic, 1 into everything. I made a mistake. I put 2 into Penetrate because I was just like testing how much attack rating it gave me. Not much. So then I said, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done that. And then I just put the rest in the Valkyrie, try to get it to, when I have my Titans on, I think it's a level 17. Well, scratch that. I thought it was level 17. Anyway. Oh wait, no. I put it over here. I have a lidless on Switch. Okay, so this setup, I'll say, this is a setup where you're mainly a Fendzon, and then you have Plague kind of going, just in the background. And this is a good build. I mean, this definitely works. But as I was playing around with it, you can see in this setup my plague damage. Wow, those guys actually died pretty quick. But they don't die. So this is with once my Merc's Might Aura comes on, my Fend is gonna get up to I think 3.6 or something close to that, and my Jab is a little lower. But then I switched. And at first I was running this without a Sunder Charm. And believe it or not, this is my best poison Sunder. So then I switched over to Headhunters, which was kind of partly my idea for the build. But once you introduce you can see that only boosts my poison damage by 2k, the 15% here. And what really boosts it big time is skills. Here I'm going 4 more skills, and I go from 19 to 31. I thought it'd be like 1k per skill. I've never played around with Plague Javelin before. But no, the skill bonus is huge, and that's actually a defect. I'm still charmed, like I'm trying to do a max AR build. And so this build still has a bit of a split identity. Bramble. So my Titans upped, not a very good Titans, by the way, pretty shitty. And then a Bramble, kind of a not great roll. And then these were I've never used a poison facet like in my life, so these were my 3 best poison facets I put in here. And so those are kind of the poison things, and the rest is built more like a melee character. I'm using Lay of Hands, probably a plus skiller IAS gloves would be better, but this is what I got. you know, Guillaume's with a fucking Ort rune in it. For the light res, that's specifically for this setup. And then, you know, Gore, String of Ears for the Life Leech, and, you know, the DR is nice. When you have the Storm Shield on, it's a more secure build, actually. You feel a little better because you're more tanky. You're like, it's actually super tanky with the full-on 50 DR. And it's not a bad build, but once you introduce the Sunder, then the minus light res becomes so much more powerful, and once the minus light res becomes so much more powerful, then your skills are paying off even more. So it's kind of hard to escape the power of the Sunder Charm, which is what my last build was about. So I started off leaning physical with kind of a poison background, and now it's more a poison build with like jab, with Fend as like something to do while the poison works. So I'll just get into like a game. I'll do a chaos run. And you know what? This build, listen, this is like a budget build. This is a player's one build. And I think it's kind of fun, and it's really you know, I feel like everyone these days, you have to be like, how's it work on player's 8? How's it work on player's 8? And it's like, you know what? Sometimes I build characters, and it's like, this is just a fun way to get through the game. This character is frankly not going to be a terrific magic finder. I understand people will use a plague Javazon in like cows, but I don't know, is it the most effective cow runner? So I'm saying that this build is kind of good for nothing, except, you know, the whole game is good for nothing. It's a vice. You're wasting your life. I mean, what, you know, so to me, this is just a fun way to get through the game, and I enjoy it. And there is a little bit of I don't know what you'd call it, strategy. You know, if you look in the lower left, you could see sometimes I got Fend going and sometimes I got Jab going. Oh, that was a bad throw. And it kind of depends. You might think that even when there are multiple monsters nearby, sometimes it's actually still better to be using Jab just because of like the positioning. You know, now I'll switch to Fend because I have a bunch of guys around me. But as soon as if you're not surrounded, you might as well be on Jab, you know, because Jab is and at first I didn't even think so, but it is definitely faster for single targets, even though you're doing quite a bit less damage. When you do Fend on a single target, you just do this poke, poke, poke thing, you know? Poke, poke, poke. It's just not as good. But when you got multi-targets, it is. Okay, I'm going to just kind of run a little bit. So all my videos are so long. It's so long. Why did I do this? As I went to record this video, I just saw that Henry Kissinger died. So now you can picture what time it is for where I probably won't release this tonight, maybe tomorrow. But I just read his, I actually just reread his book, Diplomacy. You know, I gotta say it's kind of a masterwork, you know? A lot of people give Henry Kissinger a lot of shit for being a war criminal and stuff. And he did recommend, I mean, first of all, you know, he never, oh wow, I got beat up a little bit there. I mean, first of all, you know, it's all the president's responsibility. He's an advisor, but then again, that doesn't absolve him morally necessarily. And he did recommend an incursion into Cambodia with basically, I don't know if there's any, you know, if that was condoned by Congress in any way. And led to a lot of people being killed. And the one thing in his book that he doesn't really, he's not forthcoming at all on the degree to which politics played into their calculations. That is Nixon's re-election in '72, not wanting South Vietnam to fall apart. And he's on tape saying, hey, it's all going to fall apart, but as long as it doesn't fall apart before the election, who gives a shit, you know? That was like their goal. In the book, he's not quite so forthcoming about that political angle. But he makes a decent case for Nixon's handling of the last half of the Vietnam War. Having said that, even Henry Kissinger, the the bête noire of the anti-war movement, even he was like, Vietnam was a bad idea. If you believed in the domino theory, then you should have stopped it in Malay or Thailand. Vietnam was not the place, and of course, many people would consider, Kissinger is famous for his realpolitik. Many people would consider those considerations secondary compared to the sort of moral and humanitarian angle of just all the death and destruction for nothing. But anyway, so yeah, as you can see as I'm talking away here, look, is this the best build ever? No, but this is a very solid build, and it's a fun way to have a melee build that has a little bit of a AoE going on. Oh, my fucking Merc died. That has a little. I'm sorry. I'm bringing him back. It's a fun melee build that has a little bit of AoE going in the background for you, and so it's surprising that when I built it, I was like looking at my Fend damage, and I was like, this is garbage. Like, this is shit. But then you start playing it, and you're like, huh? It's like, it doesn't feel like you're doing that little damage. I don't know. It feels stronger than what it looks like on your character screen. Like if I had a Zealer doing 2,000 damage, I would be like, wow, this is garbage. And I have had Zealers that do 2,000 damage. I would just be like, what the fuck? But for some reason, I think maybe it's just the poison working away in the background. Like probably a lot of times by the time you get to a monster, it's down to like half its life. So, and it's not a bad boss killer either. That's because of my melee tipping of having the crushing blow and yeah. And there are other things you could do. You could play with the skills. A lot of people might they throw more into critical strike. I kind of thought between my High Lords, Gores, and however you pronounce this helmet, plus just the 1.1 in critical strike, I think it comes to, I'm doing critical strike something like 85% of the time already. So I was like, I'm not really going to max that. I prefer, especially because of this build, I don't have a CTA. I'm running a 15 DR setup. It's I wouldn't call it squishy, but it's nice to have the distraction of the Valkyrie. That adds a lot to the build, I think. The Pierce, I don't think you need a lot of Pierce. Plague Javelin just seems to go through everything anyway. I don't know. So the Pierce doesn't seem like that big a deal. Anyway, 65% is pretty good. So you get a lot out of the one-hit wonders here. I mean, yeah, it's not bad. I could use Decoy sometimes if I wanted. So yeah, for basically a 40-point build. No, I'm sorry. An 80-point build, 40, 40, 44. I mean, you get two solid, this is not a half-assed Plague Javelin. This is a fully synergized Plague Javelin. It's pretty strong. And Jab and Fend don't have synergies. So it's a good build. Standard Reaper's Toll. I think it's nice to have the Reaper's Toll. When you use this and you have the elemental damage, you get this and the High Lords, this and that. You're getting up close to almost 800 elemental damage. It's not nothing on certain physical immunes, but it definitely is nice to have the Reaper's Toll for them. And there's a bunch of things like Ghosts. There's several things. No, I think it's maybe just the Ghosts that are physical and poison resistant. And so especially for those, it's nice to have the Sunder. But Ghosts don't have that much life. So I've gone and I've done bail runs, and they're good. And this is you do need a little bit of mana steal. For some reason, Jab has a weirdly high... Okay, Fend has no mana cost, and Jab has like a weirdly high mana cost. I don't know why. Zeal is always 2. It's 2, and it's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. I don't know what they were thinking, And the Fend... Yeah, like I said before, it's kind of like Zeal in 2 skills. It's like they break up Zeal into 2 skills. And I guess they were just trying to not have every melee character have the exact same skills, you know, like Fury, Zeal, Fend. They all work very slightly differently, but basically they had one idea for melee, right? Except for Barb, Frenzy is different. Anyway, so it's a pretty good build. It's a nice way to use headhunters, and I would say if you're starting to budget Javazon, this gear is all right, but this could work with much shittier gear, I think. Especially if you use like you have the Storm Shield String of Ears setup, like it ain't bad. I mean, that's a tanky build. I also a lot of people run Fenzons as a two-handed. I have two of these actually, and I'm not sure this is my better one. I have to find my better one. I actually don't. I don't even know where it is. It's on some character. But yeah, this is a pretty cool option for that. And yeah, all right. I'll leave it there. Hopefully, this is not too long.